Community, in my opinion, is the greatest show that's ever been on television, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the highest grossing film franchise of all times. So surely there must have been some crossover between the two of them, right? Yeah, a lot more than you think. There's some weird ones. So I'll start with one of the obvious ones, Joe and Anthony Russo. They were producers on Community, and they directed quite a few episodes, and then they went off and started directing movies like Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, so basically the head honchos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's probably behind the scenes where a lot of the Community main cast cameos came from. Cameos like Danny Pudi in Winter Soldier, Jim Rash in Civil War. Nobody showed up for Infinity War, but we got a double header. Ken Jeong and Yvette Nicole Brown both popped up in Endgame. And of course, Donald Glover played a much more prominent role in Spider-Man Homecoming, where he could potentially return in the future as the Prowler. Now, I have to wonder if Allison, Brie, and Joel McHale were also offered cameo roles, but thought maybe they should hold out for something a little more meaty in the future? I don't know. We do know how they feel.
Boring-ass Marvel movies.
Flavorless, unremarkable Marvel movie.
Though I personally really wanted Joel McHale to play Hank Pym in Ant-Man before they took it in the direction they did. And there are pretty strong rumors out there that Allison Brie was in the running for She-Hulk. Before I do forget, Britt is in this. She directed an episode of Marvel 616, a documentary series about the comics that's on Disney+. It's actually worth watching. You should check it out. Allison Brie directed one too. Chevy Chase didn't. So that about takes care of the main cast, but Dan Harmon himself, the series creator, was brought in to touch up the script on Doctor Strange. And he actually was not brought in to add any comedy to the script. He was brought in for some of his science fiction knowledge based off of Rick and Morty. I don't even know where to go from here. I have so much on here. The Eternals. The Eternals is coming out soon. Kumail Nanjiani plays Kangi in The Eternals. He was Vice Custodian LaPerry on Community. Nathan Fillion was in there. Nathan Fillion played two different roles in Marvel. He was the voice of this guy getting his nose picked by Groot, and then he was also played Simon Williams' Wonder Man in some deleted scenes from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Randall Park technically played two roles in Community, but he only had one role in the MCU, which he did play over several appearances across Ant-Man, Ant-Man 2, and WandaVision. But he was also had a small role in Aquaman, so if I was making a Community/DC list, he would be on that list. A very short list that would also include Kick Puncher himself, Derek Mears, as he played Swamp Thing in the Swamp Thing show. Not Marvel, because Marvel's equivalent would probably be Man-Thing, and then I could make a joke about kick-punching your Man-Thing. But I can't, because Man-Thing was played by a guy named Conan Stevens, who was not in Community. But Derek Mears was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is MCU adjacent. Also, Nurse Jackie himself, Patton Oswalt, Anthony Michael Hall, Sexy Dreadlocks, and Annie's Landlord were also on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And while we're still just outside of the MCU proper, let's get this one out of the way. His name is Luca. He lived in the second season, and he was on Agent Carter. But if you don't think that's good enough, he was also in the Avengers. Jeremy Soulpatch Simmons is going to take us back to the MCU proper, as he popped up in both Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron. Donald Glover's former Derek comedy partner, DC Pearson, popped up in Winter Soldier as well. Mr. Meow Meow Beans himself, Bixel, I think he was Bixel, he might have been the other one, was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And Abed's girlfriend, Rachel, played Captain Marvel. On top of all that, Ludwig Göransson, who did a lot of the music for Community, was the composer for Black Panther and The Mandalorian. Speaking of The Mandalorian, do you remember that Pedro Pascal was in the table read, taking the role of Mr. Stone that was played by Walton Goggins in the actual episode? Well, Walton Goggins was in Ant-Man 2. Wow. Owen Wilson was also very recently in Loki on Disney+, where he played Mobius. And yeah, remember he was back in Season 1? He was the leader of the Cool Study Group with Jack Black. Jack Black apparently is also in talks with Marvel. People online are trying to say Beast, and I'm like, no, come on. He's already going to ruin Bowser. Going from Season 1 all the way to Season 7, we got Seth Green as the voice of Howard the Duck in the MCU. Remember he was Scrunch in one of the hypothetical Season 7 thingies? Johnny Pemberton? That name does not ring a bell. I had to look him up, and I know him as this guy. But also he was in the Ant-Man Baskin-Robbins scene. But he's also in the Karate Kid episode of Community, which I'm actually going to watch and see, because I don't remember it at all.
Next up, Ben Chang for the role of Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah, there he is. Anyway, Community and the MCU, again. Okay, looks like I just got a couple of left here. Tim Heidecker was in Meow Meow Beans, and I guess he was on the boat scene in Ant-Man 2. Picture of that'll go here. And then the last one is Martin Starr.
Either pronunciation is fine.
Who famously played Professor Kligoris in the UN episode, and he was in Incredible Hulk and both Spider-Man movies for Marvel. Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 3, No Way Home, Spider-Man 3 looks like it's bringing everything together from the multiverse, which means that Joel McHale was in Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. Mr. Egypt played Alistair Smythe in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh, this opens up everything. All right, let's do it. Zazie Beetz is on Atlanta with Donald Glover. She played Domino in Deadpool 2. Cable in that movie was played by Jeff Winger's dad's son, Josh Brolin. If you prefer your Cable to be a little more animated in a couple of video games, he's actually voiced by the Subway rep.
I was born ready. Looks like I'll have to bring out the big guns. Go, go, go!
Someone could hand me my jacket?
You fight for your future. I'll have to put you down.
If somebody could just hand it to me, that would be great.
I'm here to make sure my people survive.
You know what? Now I'm not leaving. Now I'm just going to sit for a while and focus on how unacceptable today was.
There's a war to be fought.
John Michael Higgins can be seen seizing the day in Blade Trinity. Natalie is freezing frontwoman actress Lisa Loeb could be heard playing Mary Jane in MTV's one-season Spider-Man series from 20 years ago. And Nurse Jackie is backy as Patton Oswalt is the voice of MODOK on an animated series that features Crazy Schmidt doing a voice or two. And George Takei voiced Wong on the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s and later played Galactus on Superhero Squad. Speaking of Wong, Benedict Wong plays Wong in the MCU. That is so many Wongs in one sentence. Wong, 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 Wong. But he was also on the IT Crowd.
He has spirit, this one.
Yeah, I know it's not Community, but I get a kick out of that. Keith David criminally has not been in the MCU yet, but I mean, that will change, right? That will change. That has to change. He was the voice of Tombstone on Spider-Man and Black Panther on Fantastic Four, and he has also done the voice of Nick Fury in a video game or two. And that's awesome, because the man's voice, like, I would listen to him read the phone book. Please read a phone book, Keith David.
You must be out of your mind.
And no Community list would be complete without everybody's favorite
Sexy cat.
Nicolas Cage himself was Ghost Rider in 2 movies. Okay, so obviously I went a little outside of the MCU with some of my list here, but I'm fairly certain I got quite a bit. There's no doubt in my mind that I've missed some, so please let me know in the comments before I can revisit this later and do a more thorough list. But I guarantee it's the most thorough list I've seen on the internet. Anyway, I am Haussmann17. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit subscribe if you want to. Please like it if you like it. Please check out some of my other videos. I appreciate everyone that's coming out here. So thank you guys. Nailed that ending.